New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
Hello again, dear ones. Dr. Robert with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And it is Friday morning, 7 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone, and that means it is time for Ministers Talking Shit. Opportunities Z and I take every week to see what comes up. And so, good morning, Z. I'm going to warn the audience. I'm on one already today. I was ranting and raving in the green room before the show, and as we went live, I said, and we're not going to talk about any of that.
Yeah, it's a brand new day everywhere you look, regardless to how you're looking.
Exactly. Good morning, Linda. Good to see you, dear one. Thanks for being with us. Glad you're here. Brother Wayne, may the fourth chakra be with you, sir. Good to have you. But here's what I do want to talk about, and I didn't set you up for this, but I do want to talk about this. NPR is reporting that more and more companies, Pepsi, GM, Disney, are dropping have dropped their diversity, equity, and inclusion language from their annual shareholder or their annual financial reports and their annual shareholder meetings. Disney, Google, GM, GE, Pepsi, Intel, PayPal, Chipotle, Comcast, 3M, Regeneron, Philip Morris. This is all according to a NPR analysis. Now there are other companies on that list like Walmart, Target, Amazon, Meta, Ford. Those last group were all very vocal about their withdrawal of DI, announced that they were dropping their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and language. These other companies are just kind of quiet quitting.
What's that?
Yeah, exactly. So, right there, if you can drop your DEI policies that quickly, did you ever actually believe in it in the first place?
Yeah. And a lot of companies I'm happy are keeping theirs. I know my company is keeping theirs.
Good.
JP Morgan is keeping his.
Yep.
So there are a couple of major companies that are still understanding and exhibiting the value and the apparent connectedness of all things in their business. I mean, there's no way you can start looking at integration. I hate that word because it has undertows, but the coming together, the intersectionality of everything and everybody working together it's not even obvious to me how you miss that, except if you're working from a racist standpoint or a bigoted standpoint or a separatist standpoint, or all these standpoints that are based on ego and self.
Yeah. Exactly. I do want to mention some of the companies that are keeping. You mentioned a couple: J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Cisco, Nasdaq, Pinterest, Salesforce, Microsoft, Costco, Delta Airlines, the Cleveland Cavaliers, American Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
These are some, just a partial list of some, and we'd love to hear of more companies. If you know of some, put them in the chat box and let us know which companies you know of that are keeping their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies and languaging, because you've heard me rant before. I'm not a real big on the wishy-washy back and forth BS. It makes it pretty obvious you're about nothing but the almighty dollar, and you could care less about people. And to me, that's what this is, right? To me, this is what this is. This is a people issue. This is a human rights issue. That it sucks that we should have to mandate it. It sucks that we have to spell it all out in everything we do, and it but that's the day we're in. So we have to support the people that are supporting the things we believe in, plain and simple.
Yeah. And when we look, I mean, he joked about he's going to be king and all that, but you look at what he's doing, and he's pushing the limits of presidential power right now. And thank God we've had a couple of federal judges to push back and say no. But the how do you fire the whole CIA? How do you do that? How do you go in and find people within the FBI who worked on January 6th that were given that assignment by their supervisors? They didn't just raise their hand and say, I want to work on that. They were following the orders, and then now you're going to fire them because they followed orders? If they hadn't, they'd have lost their jobs a while ago.
Yeah. It's interesting. I see it too. I saw that headline, that story. I didn't read into it yet, and I saw that story, right? That he's told pretty much fire the entire CIA.
Yeah.
You're gonna fire the entire FBI next?
He's trying. He got a bunch of them.
He's trying, because the first thing his new DOJ head of the DOJ announces is that we're going to investigate everybody that investigated him. So the writing is on the wall in a number of these ways. That King Trump, I agree with you. I think he wants to be called. I think he secretly wants that title so bad to be King Trump, that he's going to go after his political rivals. I actually saw, where was it? Something that was already attacking a church too, where the administration was attacking something a church.
Well,
he's. I mean, beyond just the whole.
Well, he's already right. He's threatening to have CBS 60 Minutes terminated.
That too,
because of the interview. I mean, and this is this guy's MO. He just throws a bunch of crazy lunacy out and see what gets traction. And then whatever gets traction, he rolls with it. He doesn't, and what doesn't stick, he just waits and brings it back up. I mean, he's talking about making, I mean, the United States Arab community right now is livid, right? They went out and voted for him.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason they did, they blow them large blocks. And now he's saying we're going to go in Gaza and make it the Mediterranean or the Riviera of the Middle East or whatever. If that's not colonization, what is?
Yeah, true. I had thought of it that way, but yes, you're right. What confounds me is the number of people that even now, 3 weeks in, and he's been blatantly revealing all of these lies. I feel like we're a bunch of monkeys throwing shit at each other, truly. And he's just throwing everything he possibly can, and it's all going into the courts immediately, right? Turns off the cash register to all 50 states for one day, creates a ripple of problems, and creates a slew of lawsuits. 13 states are now suing already. So you're 3 weeks in and you're already being sued by a third of the country because of some stupid move you made, that we're going to be mired in lawsuits. And in some ways it's already working, because his minions, his followers, the MAGA, the hardcore MAGA are just blasting everybody. And there's so much. We've just named 15 major stories. We haven't been on the air more than 12 minutes today.
Yeah. And his, you know, the concept or you know, I don't know who or when the first presentation of Project 2025 went public for people other than those who created it, that he disavowed any knowledge of, the act as if he didn't know what it was. Yet tons of his previous staff and his current staff, I'm sure, are yet to be, were the authors of that. Things been around from the Heritage Foundation. That whole process, if you really go and do it started back in the 70s, the whole idea. So it's been around, it's well thought out, it's well planned. They're now they talked about redoing the military. Well, they got Hexet in. They're talking about getting rid of all the agencies, right? So they're doing that now with various agencies. They're looking at next. They've already started the conversation about Department of Education. It's like, how can people with any modicum of common sense look at this and say, this can't be good?
It's interesting. I looked it up. Project 2025 was only published in 2022. However, what that is Project 2025 is the latest edition of, as you're saying, what's been going on, and they even say it on their website. It is a stockpile of conservative ideas. So every crazy conservative idea it's ever been, is it kind of my perspective, is going to be in that book somewhere. And they've enacted some of them over the years, and some of them they haven't. And some of them now, they're for the very first time getting a chance to enact. And there's a ton. And again, it's coming at us so incredibly fast that and I've seen stories of naturalized immigrants who have citizen status that Trump has deported, and they were vocal advocates for Trump.
Yeah,
Hispanics.
And see, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, right. Again, here we go. We get 25 different stories in 10 minutes of where this guy. I think people are waiting for.
And he's only been in office, what, 25 days, 23 days, or whatever.
Yeah.
Imagine where we'll be at the midterm. Imagine where we'll be in 4 years.
You know, I did think it was rather
where we could be.
I did get a chuckle that Donald Trump offered to buy Chuck Schumer a house in the new Gaza Strip development. I don't know. I forget where I saw it with the reporting, and I didn't actually see the clip of him saying it, but I guess he said that he'd be willing to buy Chuck Schumer a home in Gaza, and he could retire there. It's beautiful and comfortable, and he'll be okay there. Or
wow.
Send him back.
Wow. when we think about this thing called democracy, when this and that the current administration appears to be trying to make it to become an autocratic state, right? I mean, we see it. All of these people who you would think they're supposedly highly educated, they're bending the knee, if you will, not
Yep.
challenging anything he says, coming up with some lame brain ideas of why it's important. I mean, you look at people that are being interviewed on newscasts, right? And they say, "Well, can you answer this question directly?" They don't even they go near the question. They go and talk about, well, this, that, and the other that has nothing to do. So effectively, the news are getting information about programs, plans, actions is null. You're only going to get what they want to tell you, no matter what you ask at them. They're going to say what they want. So it's become the Truman Show on TV. The TV program then become life.
Oh no. I think you do hit on something there, right? Is we do need, I see now, there is space and room for a new thought, if you will, on how we report the news, how we consume the news, how we respond to the news. Here's another one. Someone here in Colorado that I know puts out a post that is pretty attacking and kind of but questionable. And so, there's no source, there's no link to a website, there's just a picture, there's just something somebody else said and put into a picture format, and you're sharing what somebody else said. And so I just kind of, asked, hey, do you have a source for this? Because this other guy doesn't seem like a very viable or verifiable source. Do you have any source for this? And I was attacked. Why should she have to do it? Why don't you do it? Why can't you verify if it's valid or not? Wow. And this is from a new thoughter. This is from someone who walked away from Centers for Spiritual Living a few years back now. Someone we both know. I'm not going to put his name out on the internet right now, but if you can find it. It's not hard to find. And wow. And the onus was put on me, and my response was, well, I don't think I should have to fact check everything that comes along. I think we should try to live in a world where we don't spread misinformation and we do our own fact checking before we share something. Now, I've been guilty of sharing stuff without checking. And when I'm made aware of that, I retract it and I apologize, because I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to make sure that what I share and what I put out there is not just my opinion and my perspective as much as it is some sort of verifiable source that can point to this was said or this wasn't said, this was done or this wasn't done. But no, it's now in the new world, Facebook's not going to fact check. None of these companies that are dropping their DEI policies are going to fact check us. And it's seems to me there's not as much interest in being real and authentic and sharing information rather than disinformation.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten to a place, it appears, that anything goes, right? The stuff is becoming more and more outlandish. Like, people are taking posts from 4 or 5 years ago and posting them as if they happened yesterday, to prove a point.
About that this week. They're spreading flu data for Japan, and in the corner of the thing it says 2019. And I'm like, your data is 6 years old. Even if you're trying to be helpful, right? And
Right.
this is somebody I generally agree with, and it's somebody who thinks a lot like I do. But I called her out on it publicly and said, this data is 6 years old. This is misinformation at this point. This is not what's happening. And the excuse was, well, I couldn't find anything more current, and the algorithms are burying the information, and Google won't show me anything, so I had to use old data, but this is what's happening. Sorry.
Well, see, and this goes back to something that we've talked about. The data is there. The challenge is, what questions are you asking? We have not just an AI, because now AI is everywhere, right? It's in Google. It's been in Google in these searches, right? But it's now more sophisticated and more generative. So you have to begin to look at what you ask and how often you ask, because it will begin to set a pattern. This is a neural network. Neural networks operate on the least path algorithm. So if it goes and find a server this way, it's not going to go. The only thing that's going to keep it from using that same route is if the route is down, which means I have to ask another way. I got to seek another way of getting the information or getting to the destination. And we're not doing that. And so as long as we keep asking leading questions and non-probing questions and non-intelligent questions, I dare say, we are going to get the same old information rehashed that supports somebody else's idea. And I mean, one thing now I noticed on a lot of the generative AI stuff I get, it'll give you several points, but it has a link for everything to take you to the source document that it's gleaning from. Now, so and they always tell you, verify your work. So now you can go and look at the thing and see, because it doesn't stop the original link from being a bad link either. So you still got to do a little work. But some of the browsers are getting a little better by adding source documents.
And that's part of asking a good question, is asking for, and I've been putting that into my prompts for quite a while now, that if this is the kind of data I'm looking for, I want to know not just what you pulled up, but where you pulled it from. Because sometimes, and I've had this happen, the AI pulls data from links that don't actually exist. And it's like, broken link. Okay, so something happened that you brought data together and gave us a source that isn't exactly valid. Okay, I got to throw all that out now. And let's start over. And let's look from another model or dig a little deeper. I do agree that the main search engines are less effective at finding deeper, nuanced, researchy style material or information. They're real good at picking up at the marketing and the capitalist and the advertising. And AI is actually, when we train it right, when we ask it the right question, I think has the capability to return more verifiable data proof studies and websites and such. So
and it's, I was thinking just the other day really about, growing up, going to the library or having to go through the encyclopedia. Although they had the World Book Encyclopedia, Britannica Encyclopedia, they had several different versions of encyclopedias. Some were more in depth than others. So depending if, and I don't know this, so I'm going to just say Encyclopedia Source 1, if you wanted short, concise articles with a lot of pictures that you could put in your report, you'd go to Encyclopedia A. If you wanted more in-depth numerical data, you'd go to B. If you wanted a more holistic conglomeration of all of it, you'd go to C. It was the same thing on the internet. These sources, some of them are just little short quips, some of them are more in-depth with some glamour, if you will, and some of them are full-blown, hey, here's source documents, here's the research, here's counter research. So you can, because it's supposed to be able to help us provide more accurate and valid and workable data or information. And right now it's used for propaganda.
Yeah.
So I mean, we yes. Oh my God. You know, but on the brighter side, Super Bowl is this weekend.
Almost forgot. I saw a great article. So Trump's going to be at the Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
And Taylor Swift is, I would imagine she's going to be at the Super Bowl. I have seen one article that reports she was maybe going to not show up because of the attention that it would bring between her and Donald and da-da-da. But I saw this one article. I was like, the worst Super Bowl ever for a president to attend, because Donald Trump can't win in this game. There's nothing he can do to come away with a winning face. If KC wins, he's got to stand there and watch Taylor and Travis whoop it up and watch this woman who's actively fights against him whoop it up and be winners, right? What's the alternative? The Eagles win. Well, not everybody remembers, but the last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Donald Trump was in office, and they told him to go screw and didn't visit the White House as a winning Super Bowl team, which is a tradition, right? The winning team always comes to dinner at the White House. And collectively, the Eagles said no. Trump tried to paste over it, and the Eagles actually put out a statement that said, no, none of us, not any of us, not one of us is coming to your place for dinner. And so he's going, to me, this is a dumb move. Why go? Why even go attend the game as president if you know you're a publicity pig that he can't, and I love it. And I can't wait to see what happens, because somebody's going to give the man a finger and national TV is going to see it happen. And somebody's going to flip him off, and we're going to have pictures.
I can't wait to see, now that you mentioned it, I forgot about the whole dinner thing. It'll be interesting to see who goes or not. But I'm wondering if Kendrick Lamar makes any kind of reference in his halftime show. I mean, I'm sure it's already planned and, they've been working on it. So it would be a last minute addition, but it's possible.
Yeah, a guy like that doesn't mean he ain't going to slip something into a song somewhere, right? He knows how to rhyme, that's for sure. So I had thought about that one. This might be a better game to watch than we thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of being woke is more appropriate now. Everybody better wake up. If you sleep or on autopilot, you better be woke.
Yeah.
Eggs are $10 or $11 a dozen. He said he was going to fix that right away. I just saw a flash come across that, he was talking about taking over Panama Canal. Now the Chinese have started responding to that idea, and they're not very happy about all the rhetoric about. And I think they shut something down, or they had to pay something more or something. It was just a flash that went by.
Yeah.
But here is yet another front. Now, you would begin to think if you have any military or martial training or knowledge, you don't spread your troops too thin. We got troops now at the border. We got troops looking at Panama. We got troops looking at Gaza. I mean, no one's there yet. But when the rhetoric that you're pushing and the ideas, at some point will demand, if you go through with them, some people be there, whether they're military or civilian. And if you spread your troops too thin, you can't do a good job. You're going to lose on all fronts, or a lot of fronts. And so truly this guy is a chaos monger, and he's spreading chaos. And I mean, and luckily one federal judge on Doge and Musk, they stopped him from looking at people's records. So now they've gone in and looked at people's records, although they've stopped them.
Yeah, but
they got the information out.
Yeah, it's data. those 20-year-olds are all walking around with a hard drive with everybody's like it. That happened, and we had 10 minutes, and and it's unfortunate because that now is out there. I can't imagine in today's world of cyber, those kids were brought in knowing exactly what their task was going to be and knowing exactly how long they figured they had. Okay, you got to get this done in this amount of time, because after that point, somebody's going to start unplugging shit. And yeah,
so imagine, now they said it was only federal employee data that they got, some 3.2 million people, but the data is there unless they have a separate database of government people's information on that. Treasury, if you're going into the Treasury database, it has anybody that's on any kind of service or financial plan, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security,
or
disability,
file taxes, receive tax returns, filed an extent. My email's in the Treasury Department.
Everybody, if you pay taxes, name is in there.
Yeah, if you have a real job,
if you got a Social Security number,
if you've got exactly, anything that says we didn't take everything, we only looked at this little bit. That's never been. I have never in my life has that been the truth. Over time, we always find out they looked at more. White House, even go all the way back to Nixon. We only looked at a little bit of that. Now you guys opened every file cabinet in the White House in the Waterhouse building, right? Sorry, I'm getting lost.
Watergate, but knowing a little bit about data and retrieval of data, depending on the query that they wrote, and I don't know if they got high powered, algorithms on their queries, but it takes a bit of time to run a query, especially if it's a complicated query. If you're joining tables and doing inner joins and outer joins, and you're doing all this thing to try to get data and exclude data, and that takes time, right? So to say that you exclude, the moment you start excluding data and joining more than 2 or 3 tables, your query gets complicated, and it requires time to work through the algorithm, if you will. And
if you're a thief,
they probably had it all set up.
Yeah, well, or they just took everything. If you're a thief in this scenario, you're a thief. You know that every time you try to segment what you're looking at, it's going to take longer. You're not going to do any of that in real time. You're not going to do that in the moment. And while you're stealing it, you're going to steal everything you get your hands on. Yeah. The minute they find you, you're going to pull that little thumb drive out of the laptop like they all do in the movies, and you're going to walk away with all the data by a miracle, right? But you're going to take everything you possibly can and do the analysis down the road later.
Of course.
In another location. So
a prime example, right, is these that were increasing for a while, these smash and grabs, right? These people would go into these stores, high-end purses and clothes or jewelry stores, that either go in mass and do it, or they'd crash through the window and just grab as much as they didn't scrutinize. I'm looking for that 5-carat diamond, and that's they just grabbed everything and sorted out on the back end.
Yep. Exactly. And something that I don't see very many people talking about yet. LA has been rioting for 3 days. All right, maybe not rioting. That might be hyperbole. But LA has been protesting for 3 straight days and nights.
On what?
Immigration.
Oh, wow.
on the ICE stuff and on the immigration stuff. And I've been watching a YouTuber who rides an electric bike. He's been running around recording all kinds of interesting stuff. They've gotten pretty kind of hairy, not overly violent, nothing, no major burning of neighborhoods or anything like we've seen in other protests and stuff. a fairly nonviolent protest in that regard. But LA, 3 days of protesting in LA at this point. I'll be interested to see if it continues.
You know, as you sit here and say that, I think about all these post-apocalyptic movies that and TV series that just permeate the air, and we're moving into that. Just anarchy, insurrection, chaos.
Airplanes just falling out of the sky.
They had another thing the other day. 2 planes clipped each other or something.
There was one last
on
night.
The runway.
A small plane with 10 folks disappeared over the ocean, over the waters of Alaska, the interior waters of Alaska last night. There's a search and rescue going on. Nobody knows. Planes are just falling out of the sky.
and of course, I just saw a movie on FBI Most Wanted or something, one of the FBI programs, where exactly somebody had software that could take planes and take over their cockpits.
No.
Right now, we know that I'm a firm believer. Whatever we see on TV in terms of technology and all of that, either it's in the works or it's already present, right? Yeah. In some shape. And so, like on a science note, I'm a bit of a science geek. I saw something yesterday, and this is like a science story, where scientists have this new telescope. I forget what it's called, this CAM, I think it is, but it can look at 23% of the area of the globe, or back in time, and they have now come up with a CT scan of the universe. So it's a layered of when the Big Bang happened, and how long it took for that energy to clump together to start making atoms and protons and neutrons, and fascinating stuff. Because we know at the basis of everything, it's all energy, it's all light, it's all microwaves, or light. A microwave is a light wave, long or short wave cycles, right? And so we're in a place where we're getting that kind of information. We have that kind of access to what life is, and then we allow someone who comes in with no knowledge of the integrated effort that it took to create us and begin to destroy it.
Yeah.
I want to see what happens to the National Science Foundation. Some of these governmental programs that deal with science and will he close down NOAA? Will he close down the National Atmospheric Center over there in Boulder? Would he close that down because it's not? They're talking about global warming, or
Mark Rubio made a statement this week in Guatemala, I think it was, at a leadership conference this week, that the U.S. was not ending foreign aid. We were just taking a moment to really look at where all the money's going. And there's a whole lot of, speculation and crazy shit and again, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not about where money's going to. And yes, if U.S. aid is going to buy condoms for the Afghanis, it would be wise to know why, or how that's going, or is that working, but we have a tendency to judge these things on face value, that this couldn't be good. Of course it couldn't be good because we're spending money on something. And there's that assumption from the current administration that everything is broken. And it isn't that everything is broken. It's just that, yeah, okay, I'll agree, some things need to be cleaned up. But I've learned long ago, you don't walk into a room and drop a hand grenade on the whole meeting if you really expect to get something done. And in the long run, he's going to have to stand up when something happens, when somebody backs out of their promise, when somebody does attack American interest, when we do have another pandemic, when we do have civil uprisings in the cities. We're going to have to answer to the American people, I believe, in the long run, one way or the other. So it might still get darker and it might still get uglier. And I don't think we've seen quite the darkest of this. I know we haven't. But I keep falling back on what Ernest Holmes taught us, and that is to desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we never knew the truth to begin with. And right now, that's more important than ever. And if you have a trans friend, family member, colleague, somebody, now more than ever, we have to remind them that we understand they are real humans and people, and their lives matter too, and who they are makes a difference too, because there are plenty of people out there that are giving up the truth, forgetting the truth right now. All these companies, right, that are dropping their DEI, they're forgetting the truth. They're denying the truth in the hour of need. They were on track, and they're trying to play to the whims of the current administration, and they're all going to get bit in the ass for it. Whether I'm the one that, whether it's through product boycott or just, I think the American people are going to push back in ways we don't quite understand yet.
Yeah, because there was supposed to be a buyout, or what, I'm not sure exactly, on Wednesday. I'll have to see if on Target, because Target dropped theirs, and they were supposed to be don't go to Target. I don't know how successful that's.
Yeah, I think the buyout got blocked by a federal judge.
Yeah, till Monday.
Oh, okay. It's till Monday. Gotcha. All right.
Till Monday. Yeah. So, that just gives me the whole week to be nervous about what I should do. It's like a catch-22. It's like, you take this buyout and we'll pay you to September, or we fire you.
You fired, yeah.
So either way, you're going to get out. So some, for people who have 20 years, right? People who've been there long enough to have their pension fully populated, and to get 8 months of salary. Yeah. Okay, that might be a good deal for them, right? They kick in, and now that they passed the Social Security Freedom Act, they'll now be able to get Social Security, or more of the Social Security money, if they ever put any in there, than they previously did. So, it might be okay for them. But for young folk, people who've only been in the government 5 years or 2 years, or at 18 years and need 2 more years to retire, I mean, that's criminal if they're doing the job. Now, if they're not doing the job, that's one thing. But if they're doing their job, and put them in another department or something. I mean, don't just that seems criminal and retaliatory.
Yep. We're back to our theme of profits over people, and I don't agree with that. People over profits. People come before profits. Damn it. That's why I can't go grocery shopping this week, because my grocery store is on strike, and I value the people that work in that grocery store more than I value buying cheap groceries. So I got to go to the more expensive grocery store for the next couple of weeks, or not buy groceries, because I value those people more than I value my own pocketbook. And that is, to me, that is the disconnect, and that is. And we go down, and that's a whole nother episode and a whole nother rant, and and we've done right out of time for today.
Yes. But
Maybe
we'll be
we-
back.
Maybe
like,
we need
like Arnold.
Maybe we need to do like a Ministers Talking Shit live stream marathon on a Friday night sometime. We'll solve all the problems.
I'm
down. We'll solve all the problems of the world.
That seems like fun. Mm-hmm.
It does seem like fun. So
yeah. Well, the time has totally run out, as you said, but I would submit from a new thought, spiritual. If you haven't woke up, now is the time to wake up. And we know everybody don't agree on everything, even if you say you follow the same philosophy. But don't be indignant about it. Let's have a conversation. That's part of the New Thought way. If you got a valid point, you got a valid point. But don't just make a point with nothing to back it up or make a point and be afraid or arrogant to talk about it.
Yeah.
That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we come together, is we have to have conversation.
Yep. All right, folks, that's our conversation for today. We'd like you to know that you're welcome to join the conversation live on a Friday morning. If you'd like to be a guest on Ministers Talking Shit, let us know. If you would like to send in an idea for us to talk about, let us know. If you want to get involved in any way, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, we're going to get out of here, let you get into the rest of your day. And we do have a full day of programming coming today, as well as all of our normal morning programming, which includes Get Rich 101, morning prayers at 8:15, morning sip with Rev Melissa, our Spanish language programming at 9, and Spanish prayers at 9:30. Later today, we have the High Vibe Hour with the Reverend Skip Jennings and Christina Abriz. Just One You with Reverend Barbara Jeans is after that at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. I'll be back at 5 with the good news tonight, and Reverend Michael will be here tonight with the fireside chat at 6 p.m. So join us throughout the day and throughout the evening. Until next time, we want to thank you for being a part of what we're doing here and wish you peace and richest blessings. Bye now.
And thanks for listening to this week's episode of Ministers Talking. We'll be back again next week with more commentary on current affairs, world events, and any other our ministers want to talk about. And if you found value here, please share our with your friends. Until next time, peace and blessings.